Please welcome to the second season of We Are Powered by Fairy Dust. It's a safe place to share and talk about life in general, but mostly to understand the people behind those great lives.
These people really became my friends by my nomad way of being, by my openness of searching for the meaning in life and speaking truth.
And our guest today, we will speak in English, is Laura Korčulanin. I can't say your name. It's Laura
Korčulanin. It's not easy, so I don't blame you.
Korčulanin. Laura
Korčulanin. Yes.
Welcome and thank you for accepting this challenge to talk with us today. It's still not night. And well, let's talk. You just said that you were from Croatia and your surname is from Croatia. Tell me a little bit about your story. How do you end up in Portugal and in Lisbon, working and living for so long already? Tell me about that.
Thank you, Anna. Thank you and your program for inviting me. It's a pleasure to be here. I truly support and encourage this kind of initiatives. I think it's very important not to speak just business and professional life, but really who we are and how we bring our stories further, because that's what defines us. So what I can share, I'm enthusiast for life. I'm always exploring different options, and principally I'm really followed by my purpose and my deep passions. So how I ended up in Portugal, I wouldn't say, I believe there is no coincidences, but it was all kind of guided by my gut feeling that I need to go study to Barcelona in 2009. And in that time, when I was studying in Barcelona, so coming from Slovenia to Barcelona, there was a huge change in my life in a personal and professional level, because of course, well, first when we go far away from home, I mean, far away, it can be in many ways inside and outside, but in that time it was from outside also, changing the culture, changing environments, changing friends, changing language, culture, everything. And that was like I would say kind of an awakening process of me. Okay, wow, the world is actually bigger than I understood so far, because I was living in a small town. I was growing up in a small town of Slovenia. Then I was living in a capital in Ljubljana. Though I was traveling, I never imagined life could be so different.
So you never dreamed about that when you were growing up? You didn't dream about traveling and study?
I was always dreaming about traveling and knowing different cultures and people. And I was always a bit like, I would say kind of, like I'm saying, enthusiast for life. So I would always explore and read and see encyclopedias and things. But I never in that time, I was at 20s. I was really not thinking, okay, I'm moving to Barcelona. It was like, okay, I can study abroad. It was not like this feeling immediately I'm moving to a new country, because the concept of moving and just permanently or temporary, it's very different.
Yes.
When I came to study to Barcelona, it was this deep shift. So I was 1 year in Barcelona. It was in 2009. It was a crazy year in many aspects, in very good way, but also I would say in this shadow way that we call it a bad way, but I wouldn't say bad way, because it was the most transformative year of my life. And I was studying anthropology. So studying an anthropology, it's by nature of studies of anthropology, you study culture, you study behaviors, you study people, you observe, you are immersed in the field. So being this explorer of life also as a student brought me to one interesting and I would say bizarre issue, that was a urination of public streets of Barcelona. And I was living in Raval. Probably some of you know Raval. It's in the city center near La Rambla. And every day I would walk from the university or my dance classes or whatever I was doing, it was smelling on urine in the way unsupportably. Excuse me, this is like
with the sun
from home.
Yes.
And it was the moment that it shifted my life in bizarre way, when I start to observe what's happening with this urination and why people are peeing on the street. And I was like, people in Slovenia, they don't do this. What's wrong with Barcelona people? Or like, is this some kind of cultural issue? So that was kind of a moment.
What was the conclusion? Is it a cultural issue, or it's just the sun that smell more
Okay.
Slovenia, it's the same?
I would say there is many levels to this. There are many layers to this answer, but the main one is that there is lack of public toilets. So it doesn't matter your nationality, your culture, it's for sure not something that you were educated to do so, or something that it's conditioned by your understanding how and where you defecate. It's about you have to do it and you don't have a place to do it.
You just do it there.
So especially as a woman, sometimes in the city, you don't know where to go. For men, I would say, even if it's strange to speak about public urination, but that's the fact. It's a lot easier. As a girl, there are not many options as a woman. But okay, that was this breakthrough moment that it can sound for someone crazy. Okay, I came to study public toilets, urination. I was like, okay, that's real deal. No one speaks about it. So I started to study that topic also in my master's studies. And I was focusing on public space of the city. I was looking into Barcelona, into infrastructure. And I say, okay, there is a huge issue. There is a lack of public facilities as toilets and other kinds of. So that became my master's study. That became my life from that day on.
Let me stop you there. How was the university receptive to this topic?
Very good point. It was not receptive at all. They said, why you would study public toilets? So like, even if you're an anthropologist and you study all sorts of crazy things and, taboo issue and behavioral and cultural concepts, but toilets, like, let's choose some other topic. So at the end, that was not my seminar in Barcelona study. But I did wrote that as my master, like my final thesis on the topic. But I started to work on that more as an enthusiast and also as an artist, because I don't like to call myself an artist, but I am in a way self-educated artist. And I love art. I think it's an amazing tool to communicate our passions, and especially political tool.
Do you think it's also a form to communicate scientific results, anthropologic results?
Absolutely, and not just anthropologic. Any sorts of science can use art and creative narrative as an amazing communication tool, because it's very easy. You can use a lot of humor. You can use the language that reaches to everyone. It's not just like
it reached a lot of people, which is the interest of science also.
Exactly. So to go back to your question, I was there. That was like this drive, the toilets. I need to mention them because it was how my life changed and why I moved abroad and why I'm kind of a nomad soul living, for so many years out of my home country. So that was the trigger that really triggered me, but I was not aware that's going to turn my life upside down. I was like, okay, let's do some toilet stuff. And then until the day that triggered me there, we did some art installation. No, in that time, it was just like graffiti in the street. It was more like rebellion art pieces. But in that time, I already started to speak, this shit is real. Like, this shit is real. No one speaks about this shit. And I'm sorry, we are here in a session, but sometimes we need to speak real shit.
I think so. I hope YouTube do not cut the video, but I think it's how it is. We are talking about taboos, and it's about shit also.
Exactly. And so in 2011, I was about to move back to Slovenia. Actually, I did move back to Slovenia. And I would say I entered partial, I wouldn't call it depression, but it was on the way to depression. I came back and I started to feel complete fatigue and completely disconnected from everything what I knew from my previous life. I didn't identify with culture, with people. Okay, though I have an amazing friends there and family that I deeply love, but it was just so small, like the mind.
Like it was more difficult to go back than to
go further. Yes. Yes. So going back, it seemed like I'm traveling back in time, and I'm traveling back to some identity of Laura that doesn't exist anymore. So I completely, in 1.5 years, I changed as a person, also starting to have more like professional outlook of my career. Like, I really changed. So when I came back, it was a very difficult time. And then I realized, okay, I cannot stay here. So like I can convince myself to do that, but I kind of knew that's not the way I am.
Previous, you call yourself nomad. I agree with you. I do know you a little bit, and I like to think I know you good. Well, you as a nomad, because meanwhile you lived not only in Barcelona, you are now in Lisbon, but you lived in other countries and cities. Tell me a little bit about that also in your story.
Exactly. So like jumping from the timelines, in that time I decided I don't belong here anymore. I feel home, but that's not my place to be anymore. So from that day on, okay, long story short, falling in love with a Portuguese man made it easier to move to Portugal.
That's the reason. That's
one of the reasons. That's the beginning of the story. But so in 2011, I decided to move to Portugal. I had an internship. I gained a scholarship to do studies in Portugal, to work on my toilets, to work in some other art gallery. And then a part of that, to go fast forward, okay, this is not in the timeline, I started to establish many international contacts. I would say like initially, mainly friends, but dear friends, as Anna, you are. And some other amazing, I would say, I can even call them mentors, because I never identified these are people that they are my mentors, but they were mentors in the way how they initiated me in my career process, especially. Mm-hmm. So like talking toilets, working on so edgy topic brought me in a lot of exposure in the way that people would really start to be very considerate about topic, gaining interest on the topic. So I would speak more and more to bigger audiences. And one time in 2000, okay, don't catch me by the word, but let's go, maybe it was probably like 2014. Yeah, it was 2014. I was talking at Roca. It's one of the companies that today I still collaborate with.
Roca, right?
Yes. Yeah. And there was this amazing man, this very special human, Professor Carlos Barbosa. Unfortunately, he's not with us anymore.
A dear friend of mine also.
And he was the one who initiated my process to also start my career as a professor, as deeply immersed in academic world, but also truly being applied and interdisciplinary. So bringing my anthropology skills to design university and design sector. And with him, I started to really dive deeper in this merging between the two disciplines. And when I started to explore this, I was deeper and deeper also diving into possibilities of this. And I started to see, wow, actually with this topic in Europe, there is very few things done with this kind of methodology, approach to business and so on. So I started to look a lot into States. I start to look what's happening on the market. I start to because I'm a researcher by nature, not just by profession. So I just go oh, this is it. You can see my wall. And but on the other side, that was the moment when one of the bigger experiences was in that time, a lot of mixed stories, just to match everything together, when I started to travel a lot. So I established amazing contacts around my toilet work, around design anthropology sector. I was invited to bigger conferences as a speaker. Excuse me. Now it's enough. And then also I was invited to be visiting professor first in New York. I got a scholarship from Ministry of Culture in Slovenia. And I was invited by dear professor and dear friend, Alice Waterston, who was also president of American Association of Anthropology in that time. But to say that when I speak of these amazing mentors and humans, it's not only about career. These people became my dear friends, and these people really became my friends by my nomad way of being, by my openness of searching for the meaning in life and speaking truth, speaking real shit. So I was on a conference working on the toilet topic, and I was speaking in Dubrovnik when I met this amazing lady who said, Laura, if you anytime need anything in States, in New York, just call me up. So that was a card, which was an entrance that I was teaching as a professor in New York. We became dear friends. I was living there for some months. And then on the same line, I met also people, different kind of professors, also entrepreneurs. Sorry?
And what do you think make them interested by you and your work? It's the thematic, the subject itself, the way you talk, and the fact that you are very true to yourself, or it's a purpose of life that they recognize she's in her way to a long run. What is it that make you attract these mentors and that become friends? You refer to them as friends.
Yes. Yeah, very good question, Anna, because the truth is, I don't preach this just as a preaching and speaking and sharing. It's a true concept of living. It's really truthfulness to ourselves. And I think when we speak truth, because it's not I'm only bold and I say this in a, like most of people like would recognize me through professional things and my skills and like this fearless approach to work, but I'm truthful. I live it. So I speak it, but I also live it. And I think these people could feel this. That's first. And the other thing is also like this innovative mindset to approaching situations, problems, and questions. And then someone would say, maybe feel like, oh, but I don't have these innovative skills. And that's not true, because when you're true to yourself, when you live for your purpose, when you listen, what's your calling? Like, hello, I never thought I'm going to work on toilets. It's not like you wake up in the morning, you're a woman, and you just sit on the toilet and you think you're going to work on shit. Life doesn't happen.
Not the first thing we think. No.
Yeah, exactly. So when you're true to your calling and your purpose, and you speak through that, because I also questioned myself and I learned a lot on the journey, but I did share this also vulnerably. I'm not just a hero. We all have our flaws and failures and moments. So when I did share this, I think it came through as a really deep message. It was not just like a presentation on a conference, because these two people that I mentioned, they were two that they heard me speaking, and later on we started to work together, but also we became dear friends and trustees and allies, supporting each other's paths, And then there is another thing that I think it's very important for all of us. In our society, we forgot of importance of multi-generational exchange, a wisdom that we carry, each and every one of us, but also of seeing potential in people and recognizing it and supported it. And these people, and there are more of them, they were older, and age is also, again, a relative thing, but they were older, especially in their career track, maybe some 30 years in front of me, not 10 or 20, like really already very senior advanced level. But the truth is that, yeah, they saw my potential and they want to support it, because not just Laura is a good human or Anna or whoever. It's about, if you support me, if I support you, this world is going to get better, because we are supporting our purpose, which is contributing to the whole.
Is it a purpose of life that they support, or it's a public service that researchers and professors have? Like, we do have this willing to support life and students itself. Do you think when you grow up and you becoming older, you probably already do that with your students, but do you think you lack that support, or you keep having this support from mentors? And it was that in the beginning of the career, or it's something that it still happened to you?
I can thankfully say it's still happening. There is, I would say, and you made a very good point, of course, there is this career thing when we see young people, because I was also professor for several years as you, and you see potential and you want to support it and develop it. But thankfully, even just today, I had a meeting with an amazing man who is older and very experienced, wanting to support me in my evolution, exchanging our knowledge and contributing to each other's lives, and especially to these professions that they need to emerge and be brought further. And maybe initially it's not about supporting the purpose, like, you know, you see someone that's his purpose, that's her purpose. But in my language, I do believe, because I do believe in fairy dust, like your show.
Yes.
And I believe in this dust in the way that, being in the right place in the right moment, it's one thing. But the other thing is also that when you truly are truthful to your calling, whatever is calling, you like to dance, you like to serve, you like to cook, you like to study, you like to be making a new business on toilets, on food waste, on whatever. When you are truthful to that, people see it and feel it. So it can be your career that someone wants to support, but in the essence, as Ken Robinson would say, when you're in the element, your element, that's all about magic, and that people see it. Because of this, yes, so it's energy, and on the other side, it's also, it's a purpose, it's your vocation. So,
What do you have anything to tell to people that don't find their purpose yet, didn't find their purpose yet? Do you have any advice? Because some people are actively searching for that, and some people are concerned about that. Tell me something.
Yes, very good. And Anna, thank you for doing this kind of shows and creating spaces that we can share with each other and learn from each other.
Thank you.
I'm not like like everyone has a part of the truth and part of the story. So like we are all equal. So what I can just speak for what I'm learning and what my experience in life is. And I would say, even if you don't know and you feel you are searching yourself, and do what drives you. You want to be with friends all the time, do that. Okay, you will find it sooner or later. You will recognize potential for something. And then there is also something else, that purpose, it's related to passion. So normally I would say that's my identification. When I'm on purpose, I feel I jump out of bed. I want to do that. I'm totally driven. I don't feel like I'm working. I'm like, oh my God, I have so many ideas. I don't know where to put them.
It energizes you, not drains you.
It's like you're working all the time. Am I working ever? I don't feel like I'm working,
Exactly.
But then there are other things that they're work, because they are maybe something that you still need to execute for according to living and some commitments of life, and like my studies and so on. But the recommendation, I would say, it's truly feeling your passions and giving time to that, because most of the time we are so busy, we don't have time, or if we have time, we don't contemplate. We're scrolling by the phone, we are all the time in interaction. So I do a lot of deep meditations. I deeply believe that on personal and professional level, this can support our qualities in many ways. Mindfulness process, contemplating. I have like on my, I would say on my daily to-do list, some daily routines that they are for me not discussable. Like there is like whatever I have on my schedule, that's my to-do, and it's not to do the work, but like I need it for in accordance to feel my passion, to serve my purpose, to serve what I need to do here. And one of them, it's a meditation practice, and the other one is a dance or some body work that I can also feel my body and not just be in my mind. So that's very important. So that would be my recommendation, finding something that it's really a passion that you can do daily, that it turns out your passion, because sometimes we don't have will to do everyday things. But it's good that we find something that nourishes. You want to walk. You want to
go to the gym.
Whatever. Everyone has their own things to do. Or do you want 1 hour exclusivity for cooking a meal? Amazing. So for me, and I feel this with people and friends, and also the community I hang out, and I do feel this is very important, and we identify with this in the same way. And then the other thing is, don't be harsh on yourself, because in this society, we all the time feel we need to be someone. But the truth is, we just need to be ourselves.
So, as simple as that.
Yes. And, and this is what, it's bizarre, but real. This is a real thing that this society needs to shift.
Did you ever feel like frustration because you want to be centered and as you just described, and sometimes life is just not like that, and there's things happening, and you know.
Absolutely. I would say too many times. Because of this, now I'm starting to be more, I would say, committed to myself.
Mm-hmm.
I created these commitments that they are like I said, that they are not anymore negotiable. Mm-hmm. From the time that I was over the time disturbed and frustrated by outside factors, being my emotional state, relational, be it overwork and projects and management of so many things, or extreme situations in life that we all go through in one or another way. Yeah. So yeah, I learned, of course, I would say the main problem is we try to avoid shadow work. We try to avoid emotional discharge. We try to avoid moments when we feel down and sick and, that's bad. I just want to go through it. Let's just forget about it. But for me, this was the main awakening process. And this was the main empowerment process where I really became personality that I am today. It's me, but everyone is different. But it really helped me to understand who I am better, what are my needs, what are my qualities, and that this frustration doesn't come anymore. I learn with myself and I train myself, because brain is a muscle. Brain is a muscle like everything else. Our mind functions as a muscle. So we can train ourselves in whatever, even emotional training. And I'm not saying to become robot, okay? I'm speaking the opposite. It's finding the way of releasing things, but embodying things that they bring us to our true self and to our well-being, that then brings well-being for everyone. So
you embrace frustrations and you deal with the causes of that frustrations as a form of enrichment and growth.
Exactly. And like sometimes people say, but how or what, or like, yeah, she's full of like talking and full of shit. But the truth is, like everyone has its own tools and everyone should discover them for themselves, because when people say this is the best for you and this is, everyone should do yoga and everyone should do meditation, that's very personal. We are very different people. So it's like nature. We speak biodiversity in nature. We don't take biodiversity in humans. We are all different. So let's remember this and let's take it for granted. I need to find how I deal with my frustration.
For example, I'm connected with the trees and fairies and my imaginary world. And what is the element of nature that gives you that connection with the planet? And is it water connected with your project Give a Shit and the toilets, or is it any other element?
Yes, first of all, it's truly primarily it's water. Like for me, I live in Lisbon for the last 11 years with, like I said, other countries in between. I really feel calling to be with water every day more and more. And I go a lot out of city. I spend a lot of time in nature, especially with water. Just even if it's just watching the ocean, that's for me my Zen moment, which recharges me and gives me all what I need. So water for sure, like a physical element. And then I love birds. I love to see birds and I love to feel how they move and also all sorts of sea animals, especially whales and dolphins. So I'm very curious also because also on, I would say, scientific way and all this communication that we have by now, because we don't have communication but studies, they're brilliant beings and we know so few about them. They have 7 times bigger brains than we do. Like they sleep with one side of brain and not with the other side. They're always awake and altered to something. They're telepathically communicating. They have a they have a vision that they can scan you as a radar. So it's like all of these things is just fascinating. So I'm blown away by nature. And this is why one of my latest passion and work and everything I'm doing, it's not only water, but it's nature as such. because mainly, even when we speak of elements or sustainability, conservation of nature, we're speaking of nature and humans. But that's the problem. There is where the problem starts. Nature and people are the same thing. So we need to start to understand this in accordance, to start to live in harmony with nature and bring this inside of especially new business models.
So as an anthropologist, you are saying that people belong to nature and do not need to cure or find solutions to protect nature, need to belong more to it to find
exactly
solutions.
Very good point. Very good point. And if we look into all the indigenous and tribal knowledge and wisdom and preservation of nature, stewardship, more than preservation, it's really being guardian and steward of nature. It's fascinating because for thousands of years, nature and environment and ecosystem was functioning organically in harmony, preserving ecosystem and resources, in generating new resources for people, giving and receiving. In this moment, all the ecosystem is failing, depletion of earth, climate change, depletion of species, wild forests dying and so on, deforestation, and I'm not even going to speak of pollution and so on. But in saying this, the problem starts in disconnection with understanding that we are nature. So I love the simple example. If I say home, okay, most of you probably think of a house or a physical space, but we do take care of our home, no? Like we buy furniture, we clean it a bit, we do take care of that environment. Do we take care of our home that we are inhabited as society, as humanity? Most of the time we don't, because we are disconnected of that environment. So every garbage, every toilet flush, we flush the water, we never think that that's going to end up in nature and it's going to pollute it. That's because we are not anymore connected to that nature, because we feel, oh, that's out there, you know, far away from my home. We're not concerned about that, but it's actually something that we should be reminded every day. If we were more connected with nature, we would feel guilty and we would preserve more the water and I don't know, electricity, and be more careful. Exactly.
About that.
And the other thing is, it's also just maybe this, it's very interesting for the ones that are listening, like human by etymology of the wording, humanus, by Indo-Sanskrit, it comes from earthling being. Earthling being, it means coming from earth. It's never separated. So the wording of the humanity, human, it's by itself related to humus, to earth. So this is why, because all the societies before industrial era was understanding this. This was the way of living. This was the way of being. Okay, then we have like dark age, middle age, that I'm not going to go to history. It's not my speciality. But knowing that resources were preserved was also related to how they were treating the nature. And then it starts to come from this monistic vision of the world. It means that world was understood as one. There is no separation. If it's like principles of Ubuntu that we speak today a lot, Canini, Buen Vivir, it's where you take care of animals, where you take care of trees, where you take care of your neighbor. Today we live in a dualistic mindset that we are completely separated from each other, from our nature, from our purpose, from what I'm here to do, so then the problem starts.
Do you think these new paradigms, well, they are not new anymore, even the climate change, these concerns of the society, even this crisis that we are living now with the COVID, do you think it's somehow bringing us back to that connection?
Yeah, I think there is one big question and challenge that we as society have in addressing the environmental changes, climate, the pollution, all of this. That it has to do with the language we are using. As I said, we are still thinking that we are saving the planet. We are still thinking that we are working for nature. We are still thinking that I wouldn't say we, okay? It's, of course, there is a lot of brilliant examples, but as a narrative, it's still about taking care of something out of ourselves.
External.
And this language, even with an amazing projects and things that they are happening, it's still not aligned in the way we are nature. So we should take care of it. It's my home. So if I don't take care of my home, where I'm going to live, or maybe I'm not going to live. So like, and then there is also this other paradigm that it's really around fear frequency. A lot of shocking news, a lot of material that it's very disturbing for society, but a lot of few solutions for that. And this fear frequency that we are all the time fearing, oh, the end is coming, the world is apocalypse, it's here, the Anthropocene, we damage the planet, we are all doing just nonsense. That's also very disturbing because people, individuals, and society as such, and I speak for myself, when I was younger, I felt frustration. So what shall I do about it? This is just too big for me to do something. So we need to start to transfer to the language, which is more nature-friendly, nature-based language, not just because of nature, because of our nature. Because if we start to educate kids, businesses, and all of us, that we need to protect and steward what we have and create models that they are not just sustainable, but regenerative, it's going to be bringing us to a harmonious future where everyone can thrive. Not just one part of the earth, or not just like, oh, I just cleaned up the ocean, but I'm still polluting, I don't know what. No, we need to start to envision holistic systemic models. And going to the second part of the question has to do with the mind engagement. Yes. Exactly, very good point, Anna, because when I was start to work on toilets, and just like a resume on what is Give a Shit. So Give a Shit, it's a interdisciplinary platform. It's an action group where we are addressing water toilet issues and looking into urban water management, into solutions, how we can create integrated solutions for urban waste, urban water management. And looking into these solutions, we started to address them always with research. So everything is based on academic research, or also UX research, what are the needs of people, environment, and so on. Second
UX
part is
user experience. Sorry.
Yes, user experience, exactly. And then second part is working on raising awareness and education of people, which is, again, not static. It's not like we just give you information. We did a lot of public performances, a lot of interactive work to really integrate people in thinking of solutions. And then there is facilitation of this solution part, which has to do with consulting that we are doing, and really integrating more and more stakeholders, more people, community. Everyone has something to say on how future world should look like. And then there is this consulting where it's really creating real solution, real life products that we can use and improve, but also improving all the system. And my work personally in this moment came from this concern with water and toilets, because toilets are a huge problem. They use between 3 to 7 liters of drinkable purified water, which is transported from very far, in our toilets every day. 5 times a day.
And we don't even think about that, as you already
and
said.
We don't think about it. And then there is alternatives, a lot of alternative water resources, a lot of alternatives that we should integrate. Human excrements are huge potential. They have huge potential of renewable energy, fertilizing potential, bioplastic, and so on. So there is a huge potential inside of one toilet that we don't think of. But so this was Give a Shit, how it started. And in this moment, what we are understanding, and I'm understanding, we cannot isolate problems and solutions, because a problem, it's always related to many factors, to many situations, to many people, to policy, to technology, to economy.
All the stakeholders of
exactly. And then solution also. So in this moment, the work I'm developing and focusing on, it has to do with nature-based solutions, nature-based biomimicry principles, but also with this systemic vision of things. And of course, we cannot do everything at the same time. People will say, you're crazy. okay, so we will do step by step, but we have a big picture in mind, and we are all the time focusing on big picture, meantime doing small steps.
And you can plan to this year, 3 years, 7 years, 10 years.
Yes,
It's
exactly.
Of course, in 10 years, the world is changing so fast, and the uncertainty around this systemic change are so many that we don't know. We will probably be wrong in 10 years, but the process is worth it, and we will learn and adjust with the process. But you're talking before about regenerative process, and now in the systems levels and involving all the stakeholders in this transformation through time, not everything at the same time, not everything now. You are very conscious of this transformation, so it is happening in your perception, right?
Yeah, it's happening very much, and it's not just happening, it's the only way we can get ourselves from this deep hole that we are in. Okay,
Agree.
I'm not a pessimist, I'm a very positive person, but I am lately really dedicating, and my passion it's really mentoring teams and businesses and individuals where we can transition to these new models, and especially also starting to understand that sustainability is not enough, because even to say sustainability, it's sustaining, having ability to sustain what we have. Okay, that's cool, but that's not enough. We need to create models that they are regenerative, where they are generating positive value for environment, biodiversity, and social inclusion, creating new labor, creating sustainability for all this ecosystem, but generating constant value and giving back. So this is where the mindset also needs to shift, because we are still in that, we are sustainability, but
yes,
that's,
I'm starting to become allergic to that word, sustainability.
Yes.
Like, I don't like it. It's we need to
I would say,
go further.
Yes, it's still
I'm
amazing, but not enough.
Yes, it's exactly that.
Yes.
So I appreciate that until now we are keeping in the track of the personal experience, but we both love this thematic, and it's easier for us to start talking work. So I will bring back some issues. You just referred to inclusion, and we previously talked about your experience as nomad, as always searching for new projects, and this inquietude in Portuguese is inquietude. In English, I actually don't know.
It's like sorry for the
not
listeners,
quietness.
Yeah, it's always like something is there sparking.
Constant change and constant feeling that needs to serve.
We understand each other. Yes,
exactly. Actually, you do. Let me refer that you do speak Portuguese very well.
I do.
You challenged me to do in English. My next interview will be in English, and I'm glad you challenged me, because we just started.
Open a new session.
Now we have a new type of episodes. So about the inclusion in this experience in different countries, including Portuguese and mainly in Portuguese, did you feel that it was easy to include and to engage in this society? Do you think it changed in these last 10 years, more than 10 years? Did we change as a society? Tell me a little bit, explore about that issue, please.
Yes. It really did change a lot through time, for sure, in many ways for me, like I say, personally and professionally. Mm-hmm. But thankfully, I don't know if it's because of my approach, who I am, but in general, I didn't thankfully experience issues. And I was always keen to learn. So when I moved to Portugal, I didn't speak any Portuguese. So it was hard for me to find a job or to do anything. But then the good part was, because I'm a deep listener, and it also brought a new quality of listening, because I didn't understand what people would say, but I could feel or see, so it was kind of this mimicking communication, telepathic,
like the whales.
Maybe, and that was it was a good. It was a good place to be. It was not the easiest place to be, okay, because I wouldn't say there was some injustice or something happening. The thing is, whatever I would need to call or do formally, I would need someone else to call, social security, do my insurance, whatever.
Yes.
So that took a while, because even when I started to speak Portuguese after like 6 months a bit, and after a year already improved, it took a while that I could really be integrated in society. But it didn't have to do with other people. It was really until you don't speak language, until you are not culturally acquainted with the environment, with how the culture moves. It's very different. But like, for example, culture is so interesting thing. When I moved here, and people would say, here I'm in Lisbon where I'm now, people would say, "Olá, tudo bem?" And if I was not good, I would say mais ou menos, or I would say, I don't know, maybe, no. And people like look at me, people that they don't know me. But like, I'm a very honest being like my personality, but then also I'm like, yeah, just true to the moment. So even if I don't know, but like, why would be always good? Sometimes it's not good day, So people look at me and I was like, okay, maybe I'm doing something wrong. So I would talk to my ex-partner and I was like, like, I don't get you Portuguese people. What is this? And then I got to know that this is just an expression, like you say hello to the vine, like, hello, how are you? You don't even expect what people say in return. Or maybe, So, Anna, you should know better, you're Portuguese. But like saying in these small things, or like, so in social inclusivity, it was not about people were not inclusive, but there was, even if we are in Europe, Slovenia, it's not so different in many, especially Croatia has a lot of similarities with Portuguese culture. But imagine, people don't take their shoes down when they enter the house. For me, that was bizarre. I'm not saying everyone, excuse me for who's listening. But in Slovenia, it's like, it's barbarian. You don't take shoes down, especially in winter when it's raining. And I was like, I had like a new carpet and people would just come with shoes. And I was like, it's raining out there, like, shall we do something? I was like, how do I say this to people, Now, after 11 years, I'm trained, it's easy. And then the third example I would give, I love to speak about it. It's like, let's drink a coffee in Portugal. And that means like 5 minutes sip, let's have a quick coffee. In Portugal, in Slovenia, when you go to drink a coffee, you take an hour, you sit with a coffee, you take your time,
Not because
like
you take an hour to drink a coffee, but it implies to have a conversation and have time to dedicate to that person.
Yes.
And here
or even it takes time to drink coffee because we don't normally drink short coffee like Portuguese, you stand in balcão in the
bar.
Yeah. So like, no, we sit down, you do, it's like a ritual.
Exactly.
But yeah, thankfully I never experienced, I always found people amazing, even when I was like teaching and living for a while in Mexico City and Mexico and New York, everyone was super helpful. Like, I really believe it's about your attitude. And I love this
confident? Is that about your confidence, how you do approach and look in the eyes of the people?
It's confidence, but sometimes, we all have fears. I was not always fearless of, like, we have all our things. So sometimes you're also like shy and you don't know how to ask, or it's strange, and you are alone. But it's also about being true, truth. I think it's about truth. You cannot like play your confidence. You can, of course. And that unfortunately is what society proposes us to do. But it's being in the moment, feeling the people, explaining your issue, need, challenge, and it's flowing. So it's being truthful. I think it's really about being being you.
All right, that was very interesting because I have been talking with some people living in Portugal. It's an issue that racism is an integration of people, and discrimination is an issue that interests me. And we have been talking about that with several guests in this show, in this channel. And it's interesting because until now, my personal vision was always like I'm a romanticizing this issue, and you have a different experience, and I have both. I have an experience where I didn't feel racism, and I have an experience that I felt it very, very deep, and it challenged me a lot. So it's good to have, it's refreshing to have this positive approach and positive experience to be shared also in this channel. Thank you for that. Going back to the integration, how was, yes, please.
Can I, yeah, because it's a very important point and I want to refer one thing. I like very honestly, I would say, of course, there are big issues in social inequality and racism. Okay, and I'm sorry, I'm not, but she just wants to be around. But I'm not ignoring them. These issues truly exist. It's not like, and we should speak about them and we should deeply address them. But I want to also say that a lot of time the projection of fear in media, in society, creates this kind of energy from both sides, from immigrants, from people who come because they are already afraid to be in a new country, and then from the outer world, which is thinking that newcomers are strange and they are like bringing us challenges and they are going to challenge our labor and so on and so on. So it's also how we approach, and it's really from both sides we need to communicate, because a lot of people themselves, they have been immigrants in different ways, you know. So now when someone comes to Portugal, I didn't face issues like socially in my environment. Thankfully, I was surrounded by people who would help me and so on. But I know that the system, it's completely against your integration, because for me to do citizen card, for me to do registration of tax number, whatever was complicated. So there is no, yes.
The first step is immediately difficult.
Yes.
I understand
so
that.
Having these conversations and space,
Sorry.
like no worries, what we are doing right now, like just giving, you know, like I'm happy to help to people. Now people call me, I'm like, you know, this you do there, you indicate the right contact. So it makes life easier. But it's also not approaching from this aspect, because until we are feeding that there is always a problem in society, we are also giving it strengths. We also need to go back, okay, we're here to help. There are also amazing people everywhere, wherever you go, in each and every country of the world, you know, and like amazing. We're all amazing in our essence. We just forget about it. And then, yeah, there is a lot of issues that people have.
Generosity, is that the availability and generosity that is the solution to integrate better people?
And our approach, if one door is closed, you go to the other. Don't give up. You know, that was my learning with work, with everything. If not, I would already move out of Portugal 10 years ago. You know, like, what is sustainability? What are you doing? This is strange. Okay, so I don't understand it. So after 5 years explaining this, it became frustrating, you know. But then the door opened, and now like amazing opportunities are out there all the time. So
yeah. Are you staying? Do you plan to stay with us?
Yes, I have a deep passion for this country and life here. It's strange to say this, you know, because this is again this cultural concept. I feel I belong to the world. I feel I belong to the land. I feel I belong to the waters. You know, I'm a nomad by my soul, by my way of being. We are all in a way. And if we go to archetypes of Gustav Jung, Carl Gustav Jung, like we all represent each other, you know, we are like, so we can all see each other in places and situations. But the truth is that, yeah, I deeply connect with Portugal. I feel at home. Culture feels very good. Food is amazing. I love, seafood. Even if I'm mostly vegetarian, it's like I'm just smelling it. It's something, interesting. And nature, the land, I love it here. And I love people. I love you people here. It's beautiful.
You are becoming more and more Portuguese every time.
I feel very Portuguese. People ask me where you come from. I'm like, you know, like I think I come from Portugal, actually.
I agree. I have always two questions I ask in the end of the interviews with our guests. One is, we already touched some of these points, but one is about belief and faith, any kind of faith. You talk about nature already, so I imagine that's how you we talk about that. It's how you recharge. Meditation, you also talked about that. Do you have any religion that you call your religion, or do you want to explore what is your fairy dust actually?
Yeah, what is my fairy dust? I love the name. I don't have gurus. I don't have religions. I would say I don't have dogmas that I follow. Like I don't like doctrines. It's not I don't like. It's
what moves.
Yeah, it's a lot to discuss there. The thing is, what I really connect with, it's my my fairy dust, because I believe a lot of times we believe, oh, that person no, and I also refer to some interesting philosophers, people and so on, that I love to know, read about and watch movies and documentaries and listen and meet. But then on the other hand, the fairy dust is really finding my own truth. I would say going back to my self-understanding, what is my magic? What is my dust guiding me, calling me to do? And then the main principle of everything, and you refer it very well, is truly nature. When I'm the most confused, when I don't know what to do, when I think everything is falling apart, I just know I need to get out of city, I need to get in my van, I need to be in nature, and I just need to do nothing. And so I would say, if there is a religion, nature is my religion.
And to do nothing is to do nothing
sorry?
And stop for a while and contemplate.
Yes, stop being in nature, contemplate, listen. Yeah, it's really these qualities and dance. I would say there is like, it's not it's an, I would even call it, it's a new way of doing religion. It's dance is my religion.
It's a new way of praying, right?
Yes, for me, exactly.
Or maybe it was always like that, but
it was always like in indigenous cultures, they ask you, in tribes they ask you, if you're very desperate and unhappy, the first thing they would ask you is, when you did last time dance, when did you last time sing, when was the last time you laughed?
Even when you put the feet without shoes in contact with the floor, it's like the third eye that they talked. The indigenous used to refer to that as the third eye, the feet, the connection to nature.
Exactly, it's how we reconnect and how we really hear, you know. And sometimes, like, people say that's a lot of fairy things. The thing is, doesn't matter what you believe. There are factual things that nature itself harmonizes you. If you just look into Japan, that they are brilliant. They have, like, by the law, doctor can prescribe you nature by bathing, forest bathing. So things like this is the future, and this is what should guide us. Because this is not, again, reinventing the wheel. This is just remembering where we come from and what we already know.
Exactly.
So dance is one of the practices, yes, and meditation.
And now the last tricky question: what is the role of money in that fairy dust world? Do you think it's a positive or a negative thing? Because sometimes we connect or disconnect money with faith, and a spiritual person cannot love money, and vice versa. What's your thought about that?
Okay, very interesting question. I believe that beginning and the future, it's based on new monetary models. It's based on new value models. I didn't say it right, not monetary, new value models. Mm-hmm. So most of the time, the problem is that, yes, we connect money with something bad in society, because the truth is that the power game, the power system we're having installed, the governments that we have installed, the things we have installed related to power, especially economic power through money, financial models we have, capitalism and so on, it's preconditioning our well-being. It's bringing a lot of sad, disharmonious things, very bad things, creating a lot of inequality in society to us. And all of this, of course, it has this negative connotation, and a lot of this, of course, it brings a lot of confusion. But on the other side,
so that would be money and power, right? Money and power.
Exactly. But then on the other side, money is energy. It's a value system. I'm not an expert, so I cannot explain you details of history, but I know a bit, at least through what I observe and
share
watch.
What you know.
Exactly. It's so if we have this monetary system for maybe last 200 years, and before we had coin exchange and we had material exchange in society and so on, this system is very new in one side, and this system is very much related to this rational way of understanding in numbers and patriarchal approach in society. When we go to feminine models of governance, financially also, where it means that value exchange is not just based on calculation of numbers, but value, it's what I bring to this society. Value is what I can create. Oh, I'm a ceramic, I know how to I'm a sculptor, I know how to do amazing sculptures. I'm a So that's a value system that we need to remember. And this is actually what is the future. Because if we look what's happening in society, all the new financial models are just emerging through the blockchain communities, cryptocurrencies, and especially from new tokenized models, non-fundable tokens, and so on. So when we look into potential of tokens, of crypto, which is completely decentralized, which is completely transparent, of course, there is a lot to be discovered and learned. We have huge opportunities for new models of empowering society in the basis of
empowering,
also universal basic income. So I think money, it's a word that I think it's a bad word. It's a key, but it's a key, and we can change it. It's a value. And when we start
I'm understanding is from money and power, we are transiting to value creation and empowerment. Is that what you're referring to?
Exactly. So that's exactly it. So these two things, it's and this is already happening. So in one of the projects that I participated in, Azores, that it's still in I would say embryo phase, so I cannot give you big details, but it's a project called Frequency Village. We were also looking into tokenizing the land, bringing land trust further, where you bring ownership, that it's shared, but it's also stewarding the land. But the value, it's also related to value that you can offer, and you can have a access token where you can exchange it with your good working community for something like bread or coffee and so on. So these kind of models, and models like, for example, Joint Seats, it's a platform that they are creating an amazing models of a regenerative economy. It's brilliant, because we are just actually reinforcing the human potential, which is protecting, stewarding the lands, and bringing back to society. It's like a circular thing. So money, it's not just a power game. Money has a potential. I'm again going to refer, as you said, not going to refer money. New financial models, new economic models, regenerative economic models, decentralized, are the ones that they're going to rule the future. And this we are seeing, it's changing in many, many ways. It's already changing the society. So I believe there is a lot of potential, and we shouldn't fear it. And we should see the potential it can bring to our individual lives.
And that is an amazing way to close our session today. Usually I ask, but you already said, you are powered by fairy dust, right?
Yes,
yes,
I totally feel on fairy dust. Completely. And I see it too. So thank you very much for inviting me to this fairy session.
Thank you. Thank you so much.
Beautiful, Anna.